Alright, boys and girls of YouTube world, today the Duff Dog and I are going to get back on our 1974 Dodge D100. Last time we worked on it, we got her nice and low, and we tried to take it for a drive and the rear end was shot. So we got to fix the rear end, and then we'll put some miles on it, and I'm sure there's going to be some other things we're going to have to find and fix. So let's go get a Dodge running, huh, Duff? Yeah, let's get after it. Look at that. That is from the pinion seal of this 75 D100. So it never leaked before because it was never full enough. And I hate floor dry, and I hate leaks. So we got the old D100 on the lift. Pulled the cover off. The oil looked terrible when I drained it, but most of it was fresh oil, but I think there's some rust and water and whatnot in there. Pulled the cross pin out, pulled the C-clips out, pulled the wheels off. Let me show you what I found. Brakes look good, but this axle seal's leaking. Probably wasn't leaking before because it never had enough oil in it. Here's our big diff. I don't know what this thing is. I think it's a 8 1/4. Who knows? Looks like it was built the 25th week of 74. Not a posi. I think it's a 323. But anywho, look at this. That's our roller bearing in the holding the axle. This seal is leaking a little bit too, but I feel like that's minor details. The bad news is it galled up our gall-dang axle shaft. So if we put a new bearing in there, that axle shaft's probably going to take it out. So we either need a sleeve or machine this down and make a sleeve, or to find an axle shaft. Of course, we got no Dodge half tons out back or 8 1/4 rears. So it looks like we're going to be putting all new parts in, putting that in there just to get it out the door, and looking for an axle shaft. Shoes are getting a little thin, but they'll be good enough. We'll loosen up that adjuster and run for years. So that's just a quick little update. Don't run your diff dry, and don't run with open headers so that you can't hear that your rear end's about ready to explode because it doesn't have any oil in it. And you can't blame this one on me because I drove that thing off the trailer on the front of the shop, back on the trailer to go to the boom tubes, off the trailer at boom tubes, on the trailer at boom tubes, and then I made it an 1/8 mile, and I was like, this is terrible. Something's wrong. So the old Mopar madman strikes again. Oh, dang it. He even sent me a video driving like 85 mile an hour in this thing before I got it. So, yeah. Blame that on the Mopar madman. All right, back to your regularly scheduled shenanigans. All right, got our needle bearings out of there. You won't believe how rusty it is inside there. You can't see it, but we'll get that bearing out of there. Hopefully, the race, whatever. I don't know. What's left? And see if we can't get a look in there. Hopefully the old slide hammer takes care of the job. I hate having to use this thing, but it works pretty good. I hate having to use it just because these things are so good for giving blood blisters. The worst blood blisters. Oh, that's what I'm afraid of. You don't want to see me get angry.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Oh dear. Not happy. There. And there you have it. One bearing race. Look at that pile of rust in the bottom. It's like that all the way down the tube. I wonder if we can get a toilet brush, clean that out. Like a good neighbor, Duff Dog is there.
A good neighbor, State Farm is there. Hey guys.
So the Highline pole that got knocked down had the neighbor's no hunting sign on it. So we're gonna be a nice guy, Duff, and pop it off the old pole before they haul it away and hang it on the new pole. You better stay and supervise so somebody on the highway doesn't get you. Dagnammit, they're hex head. We're gonna have to go back and grab some sockets and an impact. We'll be back.
What size is that? 3/8? Yep.
Hey, tech tip of the day. Don't use the magnet on your GoPro and stick it to the wheel on your side-by-side and forget about it and drive off. You guys hung on for about 50 yards, pretty good. Battery didn't last very long though. Anyway, talked to old Tiffany, and she said, you gotta get that rust out of there. And I said, but how are we gonna do it? She said, I cleaned a lot of pipes in my day, so we got a pipe cleaner. Check this out. Ran to the old DG in town. It's the only thing that's really open. We ain't got a lot of options here in Podunk on a Sunday afternoon. Well, look at this. The Dawn Ultra. It's got the old twisting action, just like a girl I knew in high school. Look at that, but you push down on it, it's spring loaded. Anywho, that fits perfectly in the axle tube, believe it or not. So then we're gonna slide it in up to about that mark right there on the handle. And we're gonna drill a hole here, put a 7/16 bolt through there. It's gonna fit snug on that, and we're gonna be able to clean them axle tubes out. I am the smartest man alive.
I am the smartest man alive!
Brilliant! Definitely didn't get that centered. Perfect! Oh, except we got too long of bolts. I'm gonna go grab a shorter 7/16 bolt. We also need a burr. Ah! Tech tip of the day, also don't drop your fluted reamers. Not a paid promotion. The old super reamer. Super premium reamer. Union made, Norseman. These things are good. Life changing, if you will. All right, let's go do some cleaning. Look at how neat that is. Definitely worth the $3.50. If you really wanted to, you could crimp down on this end and get her snug, but I don't know why we would need that. Ugh. This thing is terrible. Look at that fit. Just what we wanted. Okay. $2 Action Jackson spring loaded. Much of a dinky didn't last very long. Oh man, cut my finger. So how do we fix that? What's your problem? I think we're gonna put some tape. Well, we got her locked in the rigid position. The old spring loadedness wasn't very happy about the pulling out action. We'll run this in and out a couple times, run some brake cleaner through there. Should be good to go. You enjoy the twisted motion, or are you a back and forth axle shaft cleaner? Can't go wrong with a little twisted motion. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Ew.
Ew.
Oh yeah, mucho better. It's getting her pretty good, actually. I still like to get all that stuff out of there that's floating around though, so I might have a trick up my sleeve. Alrighty, we're waiting on a pinion seal because the one I ordered is the wrong one. And we're waiting on an axle shaft because we determined that that's bad. Mojo's making a bunch of noise over there, taking apart a thermostat housing to put on one of these small blocks so that we can fire it up. But anyway, I want to pressure wash out the inside of this axle. The pressure washer is all the way on the other side of the shop. And then we're gonna wait for parts to put it back together. We could put that bearings back in, but we're not gonna have an axle or a pinion seal for a few days. So I'm gonna take Bernie, we're gonna hook up the back of this thing, we're gonna tow it backwards to the other end of the shop, pressure wash it out, and then we're gonna leave the thing sit outside and rot until we get some new parts. It seemed like a good idea to you, sleepy dog? Yeah? All right, let's do this. Got old Bernie warming up outside. It's a balmy 5 degrees this morning. Fahrenheit. America units. Freedom units, right, Duff? He doesn't care. He likes running around outside. And then when we get done, we can go deliver some mail. Be sure to get your merch in the mail at mortske.com. We got beanie caps, or toques. I think that's what some of the Canadians call them. We got sweatshirts that look just like this, not like the one that's a terrible representation of a picture on the website that Mickelson can't figure out how to fix. And we got decals, we got banners, we got magnetic koozies, we got magnetic screwdrivers. If we don't got it, you don't need it. All right, let's shuffle some stuff around and get this thing moved. All right, Mojo's making all the noise with the old scat blaster and the air compressor. See if he'll open the door to let me in. You make a lot of noise. What are you doing?
Clean up this intake, man.
Now remember, it's all about the motion you're wanting, not how long it is. You may not be able to touch the back side of the axle, but you'll knock the stuff loose on the sides. All right, we got the D100 here back on the lift, the opposite way that it was in. It's -6 out, so I'm glad Bernie started. 390, that thing is absolutely loyal. So we just drove her straight in instead of leaving the door open back in. We're gonna have to just deal with the furnace because that thing's running full blast just to keep this place warm enough to survive in here. So we got our axle. We got all our parts from Rock Auto. The axle's from USA Gear. It comes with a bearing and a seal and wheel studs. It's the first time I've ever got an axle that comes with all that. And of course, I already had the bearing and the seal, so we'll have spares on the shelf now. Let's get this thing cleaned up, thrown in there. I also got brake pads, shoes, and wheel cylinders as well. So we'll do this thing up real nice.
Really nice.
First thing we're gonna do is press these wheel studs in, and then we're gonna press a bearing in, and then we're gonna press a seal in, and then we're gonna slide an axle in, and at some point we'll do some brakes. Duff says get after it. It's too noisy in here to be yapping away. Frickin' Bernie. 6 below 0, just lit right off like nobody's business. She's a good rig. Except for she bent the license plate on this thing. Whoopsies, we can fix that. Good as new. There we go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I know I said this thing came from US Gear or USA Gear, but it's a 10 factory axle by Motive Gear. So they must just rebox them. All right, let's go slam a bearing in. There we go, we're ready for our freshly turned brake drum. And this side's wrapped up. Go do the same thing on the other side. Even put a little grease on the backing plate for where the shoes ride. That's the first time I've ever done that. No nonsense, know-how did it on that 72 Chevelle he's working on, 71. I've seen Wes, seen a couple other guys do it. I've never done it. Anyway, we'll give it a whirl, see what happens. I'm sure I did something else wrong, so be sure to comment down below what I did wrong. All right, Mojo wants to fire up this engine. We got this engine from the Jerry Quam estate in Hellstead, Minnesota this summer. I think I paid like 1,100 bucks for it. Somebody else actually bought it. Thought they were paying $11 or $12. And so they opened it up on bids again. And maybe I got it. Yeah, and then I got it for less money than that because that guy wasn't bidding against me. They said, well, you're second highest bidder. I said, whatever, just open the bidding. So anyway, yeah. Paid like $700 or $1,000 for the thing. Anyway, it's got it's a small block Chevy. It had Hillborn injection on it. It's ported and polished cast iron heads and a big solid lifter camshaft. We got the heads all reworked by Boom Tube, and we had to reblock it because the pistons were all shot and the cylinders were shot. So I took a 74 Chevy bottom end that I had, slid R cam in it, new oil pump, new bearings, new rings, all that stuff. So let's go fire this thing up for the first time, and who knows how long. These are all bundled up this morning. Yeah. Cold out there or what? Not bad. You ready to go?
I think so.
Solid lifter. Forgot. Oh, and we put derby car headers on it because we love headers. Woo boy. Yeah. Hold on, what just shot out? That screw come from? Any idea? Get out of here, I bet. Let's try advancing it a bit. Better turn your idle up a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good though.
Sounds good, don't it? Huh?
Yeah, no funny noises. If you make the exhaust loud enough, you don't hear anything. But yeah, we'll have to get some coolant to run her a little longer. Sounds like a race car, don't it, Duff?
Watch that vibrate. That's how it wobbles.
That dampener? Ready? Watch out for them headers, they're hot. Okay, yep. I think we're gonna need a harmonic balancer.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you can see it's about flush down here and it sticks out up there, so
Okay.
I'm sure we can round one of them up. Good work, sir.
Thank you.
drums are done, brakes are done, axles are done. Now we got to go inside, put our pinion seal in, our C-clip, our cross pin, all that good stuff, fill it up with grease. It's gonna be ready to rip again, hopefully. Well, looky there, we got everything all back together. Chin strap, he stopped and turned the axle shaft while I locked those spider gears in there. We got some blue thread locker through the bolt going through the cross pin. Got a liberal amount of the right stuff schmooed all over our diffie cover. So now we just gotta pop that in place. And I think I'm gonna put a rear seal in the transmission while I got the drive shaft unhooked. And then we gotta fill her up with grease. Hopefully we're ready to do burnouts, finally. Are you ready for burnouts? I just wanna get this thing out here so we can get Bernie back out. Got it locked in here. Well, we got the old D100 back on the ground. Well, almost. See, these things don't have sealed bearings. It's the bearing and then the seal on the outside. So they're supposed to run in grease, 80, 90, lube, whatever, what have you, and you got to get that to that bearing. So I like to lean these things for about an hour, have a couple sandwiches, set it down, lift the other side up. You can park this thing at an angle, you can do it with a floor jack, you can do whatever you can park it on a tree stump. I don't know, but anyway, lean it so that you get grease over those bearings. I know way too many instances where guys completely went through their rear end, filled it with grease, smoked the axle bearings within 10 miles. All fresh stuff. You gotta lean them. You got a sealed bearing, not a problem. When you don't have sealed bearings, like this case, you gotta lean them. Tech tip of the day. Now let's set this thing on the ground and lean it the other way. Let's just leave her for a half hour like that. Should be ready for the road, other than hitting the rear brakes and throwing some ATF in. Checking the lights. And much other stuff I probably forgot. Rear brakes are bled. Now I got a couple other things that I wanted to address. The parts just showed up here. Fuel line. From the carburetor to the fuel pump is pretty much solid rubber, and I want to get as much steel line as I can in there. I know it's not going to work a factory steel line because this has got a Holly on it. The factory one's probably a thermal quad or something like that, and it's got an aftermarket aluminum intake. And then a battery hold down. The old tarp strap just ain't cutting it. Where do all the battery hold downs go? I think Wes and some other channel that he watches, they always talk about that's how you know if it's a pristine piece of equipment, is if the battery hold down is there. And I would tend to agree with that because every old car it's missing. Like I get there's different size batteries, so the hold down might not work, but then people just throw it away and grab a tarp strap. I don't get it. Where is all the battery hold downs? So I'm gonna get a battery hold down and a fuel line. The problem is I'm not super familiar with Chrysler big blocks or Chrysler anything, and they offer two different fuel lines. And I can't figure out where they go. I believe it goes from the pump to the carburetor, and then there's a chunk of rubber with a fuel filter in between. That's where these blue caps go. But neither of them seem to work out real great for my application, so we might have to do some modifying. Wish me luck. Oh yeah, much better. Steel line up to there. It's not rubbing on any spark plug wires, the alternator, the distributor. I don't really like that fuel filter being up there, but it is easy to service, so got that going for us. Let's do the battery hold down next. There's a lot of help over there just soaking up the heat from this furnace that's blasting in the back of my head. Tarp strap, delete. Oh, this one's only got one knot in it. Tech tip of the day, that's how you shorten up your tarp straps. You boys and girls already knew that, I'm sure. I'm gonna put this on the shelf for a rainy day. Let's see what the old Evil Bay sent us. I'm sure it'll fit swimmingly. Easy peasy, we just gotta snug that thing up. I don't know about these Mopar battery boxes. Like, usually there's a ridge to keep it from going a couple of directions, or at least one direction. These Mopar battery boxes are just like a flat slab, just hanging on for dear life. I guess it keeps them from rotting out. I can see where you could lose all these components pretty easy, but shouldn't go anywhere. That baby ain't going anywhere.
He's going nowhere. Where you going? Nowhere.
I'm not overly enthusiastic about the length and routing in this ground cable, but it's going to be good enough for the girls we go with. Then I'm too lazy to go grab another one off the shelf. I'm calling that DUN done. Alright, let's take old Blackie for a spin here. I ran her to town and it was out of petrol. And according to the Mopar Madman, that was some 10-year-old fuel this thing is running on. I may have smoked the shop out with some tire rubber, so Mojo he was grinning when I did it, but now he's dealing with the aftermath. And yeah, ran some errands, had a bunch of junk in the bed that this thing accumulated, because when you got a pickup in the shop that's dead, you just throw stuff in the bed. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. Man, I could take over that guy's job down in Pot County, spitting these hot rhymes. But yeah, heater works. It needs an alignment. This thing has an astronomical amount of camber, and we gotta get an appointment scheduled, so, and hopefully they can take it out of there, I assume. So come on, man, just let me drive. A lot of wind noise. It's really windy. It is above zero today, so I mean, we got that going for us. It's down to hoodie weather. Get your hoodie and your beanie at mortske.com, right, Duff? We'll be slopping all over the nice dash pad. Got a couple exhaust leaks, one at the muffler, one at that silly header, but they pretty much go away when it warms up, so we're just gonna pretend like they're not there anymore. Yeah, lots of wind noise. Between the mayo and the mustard. Nope, it's definitely closed. The top of the door needs to be bent in, it appears. Yeah, she rolls down the road 70 miles an hour like nobody's business. Like pretty much all this old garbage, it could definitely use overdrive. 321 gears,
drive and die.
The second one was kind of loose. The first one was a little loose. I wonder how they're held on, if they're just glued on. I don't see any pin on there. Yep, definitely the middle D, and they are in fact glued on. Second gen Taurus. We saw a first gen Ford Taurus white with tinted windows when we were gassing up. When was the last time you saw a first gen Taurus? How about a first gen Taurus wagon? Speaking of pudding, when we were down there for that truck gathering, or the gathering of the trucks, or whatever they call it, there was we saw like 3 second gen Ford Taurus wagons. Those things that are shaped like a Skittle, M&M, jelly bean. That's what they look like, a jelly bean. You don't see those things anymore, hardly anymore, much less a wagon. They didn't make that many wagons, I don't think. I'm not bottoming out. These tracks right here are pretty nasty. So this'll, it's definitely gonna bottom out on these tracks, because these tracks are fantastic. We'll even slow down a bit. Hang on, Duff. Oh, yeah! They bottom out for sure. Ouch. It'll be fine once we get it aligned. That'll definitely take away the bottoming out. It's fine. Like I said, those ones are really bad. It rides good. Stop telling people that lowered vehicles ride rough. It's not going to ride any rougher than it did at stock ride height. The springs in the back are the exact same springs. As long as you're not bottoming out on a bump stop or a frame rail, it's going to ride just like it did before. So your point, Dwayne, is invalid. A properly lowered vehicle is going to have less ground clearance. So yeah, if you get it high centered, it's going to ride rough. But when done properly, it's not going to ride any different. One thing we did here was move the spring down and then cut a coil off the spring. So we maybe changed the spring rate a hair, but probably not even that. Drives just like a regular craptastic 1975 D100. It's gonna need a notch though. I can feel it just barely kissing the frame with that, which is to be expected. Plus, then we can haul more stuff in the back if we got room before it bottoms out. Or if you're really worried about hauling stuff, put some bags in the back. All my lowered stuff doesn't have bags. Most of it doesn't even have notches. And they ride just fine. How many freaking dogs those guys got, Duff? 3 of them? I can't imagine dealing with 3 of you. Always asking for rides and rolling in stinky stuff. Looks like somebody just left a 1-wheel peel right here from a Camaro. Huh. Ready, Duff? Hang on! Oh man, it sings him right up and hits second. Must have been that 89 fuel that I put in there. What's regular? $2.57 for gas. They're giving it away. That was not for the 89. I probably had to pay like $3 for the 89. I splurged because it's a big block and it's a Mopar, you know, treating her right. What's that smell though? Freedom. That's what that smell is. This thing just annihilates that right rear tire on command. I think we need to find another rear end and put a limited slip in it. This rear end, you just don't have a good feeling the way that it was run without grease. I don't know. I feel like it's going to need bearings at some point. So I just soon find another one, put a limited slip, and then drop it all in there. But then it's like, do you find like a 391 gear? Is that Mopar's big gear? 391 and then put an overdrive in it? Was it an A904 or something like that? No. I don't know. Just shoot from the hip, but overdrive and a taller or a shorter gear would be real fun with a 2-wheel peel. And then we might as well put cruising AC and everything else and go through the seats. Just kidding, let's just rip it the way it is. You need to dial in the exhaust thing sounds good out the tailpipe, but I can hear this header on the driver's side, like headers do. The Mopar Madman said with Mopars and all headers probably, he's like, you gotta buy these. I forget what he said. These header gaskets were, but he's like, they're like expensive. They're like 60 or 80 bucks. But he said they're amazing. Just don't buy headers. We don't have to deal with it. But I'll have to message him and see what header gaskets those are. We'll have to get some coming. Oh, that's where that kid bonsai'd off the approach last night. How did he not? Oh man, that's a good one too. Whew. That one made your brown eye pucker. He's all right, I guess. The neighbor come over. He was the first one on the scene. What do you think, Duff? Huh? We keeping this one? It ain't so bad. It's pretty good actually, but if you want to own this thing, price and availability in the video description. I'm glad we finally got it going for a ride. It needs a couple little things, but I would say she's pretty roadworthy. We got to get that alignment scheduled. I'm gonna do that as soon as we get back. Come on now, just let me enjoy driving. Throttle her back. She likes to cruise a little bit too much. It's got a radio in her, CD player, gauges all work. This thing is way too good for us. Price and availability in the video description. Hit us at mortskerepair@gmail.com. If you want to own your very own big block, buddy bucket seat, regular cab, short wide bed, 1975 Dodge D100. Pretty sure it's 75. I think I called it a 74 in the first video. You can't know everything, can you? Probably not. Duff, roosters. You missed them. They're over there. You admit they're back there. 2 of them. Hanging out. What do you suppose this thing gets for fuel economy, pal? 12 on a good day? A lot of 9? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. How cheap. Cruise down the road 65 like nobody's business. Power steering, power disc brakes, new exhaust, freshish, garage. Oh, America, Duff, check out that bald eagle. I should send you after that thing. They would tear you apart. Yeah, fresh tranny, some new axle bearings, new axle, new tires. There's a lot of good parts on this thing. Fresh carpet, fresh CD player, fresh tack. Whew. I mean, what's not to love? Why dodge it when you could ram it? Maybe we'll have to see if Billy can redo these seats for us. That'd be pretty good. Pretty alright. It definitely is cool being black with the black wheels, being a short bed with the bunny buckets. Yeah. Alright. Made her home. That's pretty good, huh? We don't want to wear the front tires on. We gotta get the alignment scheduled. Oh, we had a parking spot left here. Up front. Kind of got one by the door. In the short bed lineup. And we're stuck. Because it's lowered. No, because everything is ice underneath. Alright, back to work, huh, Duff? The old D100's back from the alignment shop. The bad news is they were not able to align it. I guess there's an eccentric on the bolt for the upper control arm, and it's seized. So I said, can't you unseize it? And they said, no. We've got a 2.5 foot bar on it, breaker bar. She don't go. I'm used to GMs where you just crack the nuts loose, slide the upper control arm out, put some shims behind it, but I'm not familiar with this eccentric. I took a glance at it when I was working on it, thought, that's pretty neat.
That's pretty neat.
But I guess I should have messed with it when I had it on the lift and got all that stuff freed up for those boys over at the alignment shop. So let's take a look at this thing. They think that I got to either put new bushings in and get new bolts or get whole new control arms and new bolts. But anyway, let's get the hood open and see what we can do here. You gonna open the hood? We're gonna give her some heat. Is that the way to go? I don't know if we can give heat to those bushings though. They probably won't like it. Okay, open the hood. Well, it turns out you can't really see the bolt from up here if you move these rubber flaps out of the way. It's right there. It looks like this is gonna be our S angle to get at it. So maybe we'll peel those back, get some light in here, get a wrench on it, and see what they were talking to. I'm sure these rubber inner fenders are gonna love being manipulated around. They're definitely not brittle at all. So does that bolt go all the way through? Oh no, there's two bolts, one for the front of the control arm and one for the rear. So let's get some oofta. And those bushings are pretty shot. Of course, because they're rubber as well. Perfect. That's what I want to do. Rebuild the entire front end on a Dodge D100. So the nut turns loose on the bolt. That's what they said. But the bolt, I'm guessing there's a steel bushing inside of the rubber bushing, and they said that the bolt won't turn. So let's get these loose and see what happens. Okay, we should be able to either tighten or loosen this up just the way the eccentric is. We actually, to move it out, I think we want to loosen it. And as we turn that bolt, it's got flat spots on it, so the eccentric has correlating flat spots as well and should rotate with it. Here goes nothing. We got this giant flex head gear wrench 84 tooth, the big dog. Well, there, that turns just fine, it looks like to me. I'm gonna turn it the other way. That brings it in, so we gotta go all the way back around. Is there a eccentric on the back side? I'm gonna jack the pickup up and get some tension off of it. It's turning, so I don't know what their problem is, but is the bushing also turning? No? I'm gonna run it up in the air to get at the back side. All right, here's what we got going on here. It just gives you a better look. So this bolt, like I said, has a couple of notches on it. Same with that washer. So as the bolt turns, that washer, that eccentric turns, and it looks like they've moved it. And we got to move it so that it's pushing, so we get positive camber. So we got to rotate it clockwise so that it pushes on these guys over here. And looks like it's already been turning, so I don't know what their problem is. Maybe they tried the other side and not this side, but let's do a little work. Never mind that spring, it's fine. It's really kind of an ingenious design when it works anyway. There you go. I don't know, it's turning. Okay, I have no idea what the alignment shop issue was, because that thing turned just fine for me. These bushings are pretty cooked, but shouldn't be a problem. So with it aligned like that, that's pushed all the way out. Now we got to suck the jam nut tight, and then that thing can't move. We'll get some measurements. They said you want to get this thing as close to 0 as you can, so we're just going to put a level on it and get it as far out as we can, or get it as far out and then measure it, and if we get enough, we should be fine. But I did look on Rock Auto, and they offer bushings with an offset design, so that the bushing is offset this way, so you get more positive camber, or more negative if you put them in the wrong way. But that was pretty easy. I don't know what their problem was. These guys are usually pretty reliable, so I don't know. Maybe we were on the wrong page. I don't get it. Or maybe they just really don't like me. That's probably what it is. Here's the problem I see on the other side. See how this lip is kind of pushed over because the eccentric was over here pushing on it for years? On the back side, we want, anyway, push this flat. So it's pushing harder than that lip can maintain, that the eccentric rides on. So we gotta figure out what the French is causing that. You can see we got this big gap on the eccentric, and it should say tight pretty much the whole way. So the bolt's turning, but it's not moving. It's rotating the washer, but the whole bushing and the control arm aren't moving out for some reason. So we got to get that pried out. I have no idea what's causing that. Not an expert. Turn the steering wheel, get that pitman arm out of the way, or idler arm. I'm gonna pry in there, see if we can't get it to come out. And not moving. What if we take that bolt all the way out? What it's gonna do? Because it must be slotted on the back side of this hole so that everything can slide back and forth. But why isn't it sliding? Moves on the bushing anyway. I'm gonna go up top, look at the backside. Maybe we'll loosen that nut up some more. But you should only have to take it loose a little ways, because you want to keep enough tension on this eccentric so that the eccentric doesn't come out of place or walk on you or whatever. So not sure what's going on there. I really don't want to get into replacing these upper control arm bushings, because that's going to snowball into ball joints and tie rod ends and everything else, and then it never gets fixed. It just gets blown apart, and then you start painting things. Ugh, and we'll never drive our Dodge again. It also appears we got a leak in our transmission, so I'm going to wipe this all down and see if we can determine if it's the pan or the front seal. It doesn't look like it's coming from there, but it could be the dipstick tube. Could be a lot of things. But at least if we get it wiped down and we catch it in time, we should be able to determine the root cause, where it's all starting from. Could have a hole rusted in the pan. You never know. The cork gaskets on these transmission pans leave a lot to be desired. But they were good enough in 1975. So they should be good enough for now. Could be these fittings, could be the lines, could be a plug or a fitting on the side of the transmission. So many options for leakage. This dipstick has definitely been welded up. So that could be it. Who knows? Could be the speedo. That looks dry. Could be the shift linkage. But a clean transmission is a happy transmission. And a clean Mortske worldwide shop floor is a happy shop floor. Well, it doesn't even look like they attempted to do anything on the driver's side here, so I guess we'll get a first-hand look for ourselves what's going on. Right there you can see the slot on the frame where that bushing's supposed to go back and forth. So I think that's what we got to do, is just pry that other side out. That should be easy enough. Oh yeah, you can see that slot right in there. We just need a bigger bar, I think. That's like a 3-foot bar. How can we need a bigger one than that? Guess we're getting Bob the old extendo bar. Alright, how are we gonna sneak Bob in there? Let me get Bob to full extension first. Boom! Don't squish the brake line. Don't pry the pickup off the hoist. Make good decisions. Wow! Alright, I'm gonna go loosen that nut up some more. Well, I can turn it with my finger, so it should be loose enough. I'm gonna loosen the driver's side while we're up here as well. I'm a little croiled before we get started. This son of a gun is tight. Ooh. Let's get a longer ratchet. Use the force, Luke.
Use the force, Luke.
Oh. Leverage is your friend. So I got this digital protractor. Before we mess with this wheel, let's measure where it's at. I mean, it's gonna be a rough guess. We're just going off the hubcap, center cap, whatever you wanna call it. And we'll go check the other side, see where we're at currently. Close to 0, they told me. They didn't have like a rule of thumb saying, yeah, 3 degrees, 5 degrees, 1 degree. As close to 0 as you can get. Or he said 0 is a good start. I think I need to find a new alignment shop. Here we go, any guesses? 87.4, so what's that, 2.6 degrees? Yeah. Let's go check the other side that we've moved. We're gonna be doing home alignments in no time, Duff. You gonna hold the other end of the tape measure to do the toe in? There we go, 89.6, so we're within 0.4 degrees of being at 0. All right, let's get her moved out a little bit more, get that other side moved out. Hopefully we're good. Oh, we should probably get a lug nut too. I think the lug nut guys sent us some lug nuts too. And I think they sent us some center caps. Go check them out, lugnutguys.com. Use promo code Mortske for free shipping on orders of certain dollar amounts. I can't remember. They're good guys though. They'll take care of you. Tell them you want some decals too. All right, did a quick Google box search. We had a bunch of positive camber, and you want negative camber, like right around a degree of negative camber. So if we can get a 0, it'll be a good start. If we could get some negative camber, which is the top of the wheel out, from what I understand, we'll be okay. So let's keep playing around. That side's close. Like I said, we're just gonna get a bar in there and just reef on it. And this side we'll turn those bolts, see what we get. Since we've been working on this side, let's stick with the passenger side. Get that bar in there. We should be sponsored by Gear Inch this week. This is like big old Gear Inch flex head 84 tooth. Bob is a big old Gear Inch 82 248. Must be a 48-inch extendable pry bar. That 3/8 long ratchet I had, that's Gear Inch. They make some good stuff. And we like good stuff. But we also work on a lot of junk. All right, Bob, show me what you can do. Why does that not move? Can't get in there with the bar the way I want to. I'm gonna take the wheel off since we're missing a lug nut. We gotta put new ones on anyway. So maybe that'll give me more clearance.
2-4.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger, roger. What's our vector, Victor?
There, we got a good bite. I should have had this out of the way. But yeah, it looks like it's just about touching there. And this is showing steel. Keep going a little bit more. This guy is also indexable as well. Bob's a good bar. Don't get my teeth now, Bob. Ouch. Told you. Leave my teeth out of this. Just about touching. Hey, there she went. It's hung up on that washer back there. Now we gotta bend this lip back up so that our eccentric's got something to grab onto. Bob, you gonna do that for us? My pleasure, he says. Child's play.
Child's play.
There we go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And that right there is absolute as much as we can get. So I'm gonna pry on her a little bit more, and that's where we're gonna leave it for now. Yeah, that bushing isn't even that cooked out of there. So there's a bushing, and then there's a metal washer here. I don't know, that isolator, I guess, and that was rusted to the frame on the backside is what was going on. So once we get that figured out, pop right out of there. Okay, way to the pickup is on the wheels. And it looks like we are at 2 degrees of negative camber, so a little bit more than we need to be, but it's better than it was, and we'll get it to these guys, get it back to them, and hopefully everything's loose-ish enough so they should be able to figure it out on their own, and they can finish the alignment from there and get it right to where it needs to be. And obviously this is just going off this dust cap, which is not a good way to do it. Their machine clamps onto the rim and gets you all your caster and camber and all that. That's the other thing, is that's why there's an eccentric on both sides. That's how you get, so this is camber and caster is this way, and you want to have your caster tipped like that. Think of a caster wheel when they're spun around. That's the way you want them. But anyway, those eccentrics are what adjusts your caster, I believe, as well, because if you turn this one out more than that one, it's gonna tip it back. So like I said, we're at right about at a degree. So, well, 89, yeah, a degree, 1.1 degree. So actually we're about spot on where we need to be. Let's go to the other side and get this Mortske alignment knocked out. All right, see where we're at. This one looks like it's got some positive camber. 89.2. If we tip it out, we get to 90. So we're 0.8 degrees of negative camber. So we couldn't quite get enough on this one. We might have to put some new bushings in there, and that might help. And then they also make custom offset bushings. So that's what we're gonna need to do long term, but I think this will be just fine. We'll take it for a test drive, won't we, Duff? See how it feels. Like I said, it had a pile of positive camber before and drove just fine. So I would imagine it's got to be just as good or even better now, huh, Duff? Yeah. They obviously started on that side, never touched this side. This side just tipped right into place. So that side was a little sticky, fought them, but this side was real nice.
Really nice.
So Should be good to go. Like I said, long term it needs some new eccentrics and offset bushings and all that stuff. And while you're doing it, you might as well do upper ball joints because the lower stuff is all new. And since you're there, you might as well do an idler arm and a pitman arm and the tie rod ends and get her all redone. But we're just gonna enjoy it. It's not all about making them perfect, like Freiberger says. Don't get it right, just get it running. Enjoy it. When it wears out a set of tires, then it's time to buy a new set of tires and maybe go through the front end. But there's plenty of other things that need to be addressed in the meanwhile, like washing it and maybe finding some trim for the bed and maybe throw a bed liner in it, or at least paint the inside so it's the same color as the rest of the pickup, or one color. The seats could be gone through. Glue our D back on. We got things. Maybe make a longer negative battery cable. Fix that silly exhaust leak from these silly headers. But anyway, should we go take it for a test drive out in the wind, Duff? May as well. And there you have it. There's our transmission leak. We should probably kick that floor drive from there over to there. But Duff and I went for a ride, and rides and drives and steers and stops just as good as it did before. And it's got to be better for wearing tires. So I think that's where we're going to leave her up. Psych. Guess what we're back on? The old ruined 75 D100. This thing was driving it a fair amount after the alignment and the rear end, and then just died on me one day, and Pookie came and rescued me, and we BS'd for a while, and then it started up, made it home. And then it died another time in the yard on Chin and maybe on me. And then we took it to Boom Tube and it died on him. And we've determined that the needle and seat has been sticking and flooding out the carburetor, and that's what kills it. So we're gonna tear into this Holly. Hopefully just clean up the needle and seat, maybe put some new bowl gaskets in it. Hopefully not. And see if we can't fix it. Oh yeah, we got some new license plates. I don't know if I showed you. But everybody says I ruin everything by lowering it. So definitely ruined that one. So it's been sitting pretty much since we got it back from Boom Tubes. Let's get the hood open, rip into that Holly. It's a rainy, well, it's just a wet Memorial Day. We don't get any days off around here, do we, Duff? Tell you what, I'll give Duff the day off. I'll open the hood myself. Oh, her D fell off! Or did we save that one? Is it on the dash? I don't remember. It seemed like it was loose on one of the pickups. We had too much stuff to keep track of. Put this thing inside last night so we wouldn't have a bird bath in our hood. These things have some pretty cool hoods. It's all coming back to me. The D fell off in the first video. All right. Again, not a carburetor expert by any means, and I know even less about the Hollies. But I'm guessing there's a needle and seat on both ends. The king of carburetors, National Carburetors. Of course, the coil is in the way to get that bolt out. All right, so the fuel line comes in here, and usually where the fuel line comes in, that's where your needle and seat's gonna be. So probably right in here. And then there's this, I don't know, an equalization tube going to the back. So I'm guessing there's a needle and seat back there. This looks like it just says Holly Performance. NCR-1850S, I'm guessing is the part number. So I'm guessing it's an 1850. Just winging it here. Looks like the choke is wired. It's got a manual choke and it's wired wide open. All right, I'm just gonna take this apart, hope for the best. And there's the accelerator pump diaphragm down here. We gotta get that line back up when we put it back together. I'm guessing we have to try to line up this tube up here. Oh, I'm guessing when they rebuilt it, they put this little mark of white paint on there. That way they can tell if somebody's opened it up. Sure enough, there's one on each end. Or we could just drive it and keep tapping on it, but it's a pain in the butt, especially when you're in traffic. Yeah, because we have traffic here. Let's do that. And maybe we'll even hook up a vacuum advance. All right, everything looks super clean in there. Here's our float, here's our accelerator pump. And there's our needle and seat. So I think we got to take this little E-clip off. And we slide the float out. Make sure we save that spring there. And then we're just going to clean it up a bit. Spray down with some carb cleaner. Send it. Frickin' pudding got me hooked up on these drinks. God dang it. Now I'm addicted. It's good for you though, right? All right, back to carburetor work. You know what works great for taking those little E-clips off? You're screwed by Mortske repair screwdriver. Plus, when that E-clip goes shooting across the room, you can find it with your magnet. Or you can find it inside of the bowl. Just like so. And it'll hang on to it for you even. Well, the spring stays with it. How neat is that?
How neat is that?
It's a rubber tipped needle, so I don't know why that would be sticking. And how do we take the seat out? What is this plastic shield all about? There, now it's threaded in. Of course, it's not going to be the 1/2 inch that I have. Oh, it is. Lucky. I'm just going to spin this out. Make sure there's no debris in there. Everything looks good. I'm going to go spray these off with some carb cleaner and then spray them with some compressed air. And we'll put it all back together because I don't see anything. And then we'll just throw a screwdriver, a hammer, or pliers or something on the dash to whack it next time it acts up.
Kids that have been whacking off in my tool shed.
All right, got the front bowl cleaned up. We're going to take the back one off and do the same exact thing. Except there's not a coil in the way on this one, and you can't see what you're doing. Tech tip of the day, grab yourself a little paint can lid or something else, and when you pull out the bottom bolt that holds the bowl on, you can catch the fuel, or a good chunk of it, and save yourself a mess or a fire hazard. I don't know if that's a reason why folks like these Hollies, but they hold a lot of fuel in each of those bowls. Carburetor's back together. I'm gonna grab some vacuum line. We're gonna hook up that vacuum advance. We're gonna fire it up and see if we got any leaks and see if we got any vacuum advance working. So how does vacuum advance work? Vacuum advance works when there's low vacuum, I believe, when the engine's under load. I don't know. It's magic is basically how it works. So you got your vacuum advance module in your distributor or canister or whatever you call it. It's basically just a diaphragm. And then there's a rod hooked to the end of it, and then that's hooked up to your points or your electro wheel or whatever, and it turns that, and that's one way to tell how your distributor turns. If it's on this side, it's going to pull it this direction, so it's going to advance it that way. So that means the distributor is turning counterclockwise. Tech tip of the day. But anyway, we're going to hook it up to the carburetor there. I think you hook them up to ported vacuum. I don't know. I'm just throwing bad information out there. Some people, I don't know. There's a lot of information which vacuum port you hook to on the carburetor, whether you need it or whether you don't. I like to do it the way the factory did it because I feel like I'm relatively smart, but I'm not smarter than the engineers who designed these things. And if that's what they did, that's the way we're going to do it. So I'm going to hook this thing up. A lot of times that diaphragm is made out of rubber. It'll be shot and the vacuum advance won't actually work. So you got to put a new vacuum advance unit on there. But sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And this thing got a ping under load. So it's advanced too much. But that's the beauty of vacuum advance is we can have initial advance and then you got your weighted mechanical advance and then your vacuum advance. There's a lot of advances and there's a lot of people who know more about advancing. I'm just retarding here. All right, we're gonna hook this up, see what happens. And I would like to play with the timing on this thing a little bit, unless the vacuum advance makes it better. Sweet, I saw a vacuum port when we had this bowl off. Not very accessible. Let's hook this son of a biscuit up right here. Okay, maybe not. We should probably hook it up before we put this coil back in there. Terrible coil placement, Mopar, especially for when you use a torque intake and a Holly carburetor. Bad combination. All right, she's on. Oh, the routing on this is gonna be hideous. All right, this is not gonna be pretty. It's coming out pointing that way, but it needs to come in over here. So we're just gonna put a big long loop. And you gotta leave a little extra so that when you adjust your timing, your hose isn't pulled taut. There we go, vacuum advance, hooked up. Let's wake this beast up, see if we got any leaks. Definitely should have saved some of that fuel instead of putting it into my drink, so we don't have to prime this thing. Vacuum advance seems to be working. I don't see any fuel leaks, but I can hear an exhaust leak. So that's next on the list. Boom tube said there's something hitting the header that's keeping it from sealing up. So let's take a look on this driver's side and see. He said there's something on the header of the block that looks like it was hitting the header and causing the exhaust leak. He saw that when we were having him redo the tailpipe. So let's see what we can find. All right, got this thing on the outdoor lift. The indoor lift is occupied and we can't get in because the pad hasn't cured out front for the concrete. So I think you can see what's rubbing here, what the issue is. There's that little tab on the block that's hitting the manifold. So we either gotta dimple the manifold or we gotta mow that whanger off the side of the block. Either way, we gotta get this thing off of there. Another way to find out if you got an exhaust leak is look for all that black soot. If you got soot, that's where your leak is at. I mean, why can't our Chinese headers have clearance for the wang dang doodle on the side of the 383? Who knows? All right, I'm gonna take everything loose down here once it cools off and then go to the top. Oh, we love headers, don't we, Duff? Luckily, these bolts, nuts I should say, because Mopar uses studs apparently, were recently removed when we installed these things. They probably got a few hundred miles on them. And only that back one, these two are the pains to get at. You gotta do those with a wrench. Otherwise the rest should be able to do with a ratchet and a socket. So let's make quick work of it. We gotta take a couple plug wires off. Try not to mix those up. We'll do a little modifying. So somebody Mopar affiliated said that they use studs on these things because they go into water jackets, which makes sense on the stud, but makes zero sense why you would have an exhaust bolt going through a water jacket. Anyway, I'm not sure if that's true or not. I'm sure a bunch of people will comment it down below. I do kind of like the fact that they're fine thread, other than the installation and removal takes significantly longer, but I can get behind fine thread bolts. Oh yes, it's coming back to me. We need to lift the engine up. Oh, headers, headers. I also seem to recall having to remove the spark plugs. Headers suck so bad.
We're a multi-million-dollar house here. Some millionaires. That's family of Ashley's sister. Wait till y'all see the cars here in a minute. We're at some multi-millionaire dollars, or multi-million-dollar house here. Some millionaires. That's family of Ashley's sister. Wait till y'all see the cars here in a minute.
Look at this.
We're at
Puddin plays like he's just some poor Oklahoman.
We're at some.
He's at his some family of his wife's or something over here.
House here.
Multi-million-dollar house.
That's family of Ashley's sister. Wait till y'all see the cars here in a minute. Real quick.
Ooh, F1 Roadster pickup. 55 Chevy. Oldsford hardtop wagon.
Just a small collection.
Pretty much a 32 of everything. Roadster, 5-window, and a 3-window. And it looks like there's a sedan up top too. And maybe a second Roadster. Oh, it's not a sedan, it's a Vicky.
Just a small collection.
Dang. Alright, let's get these spark plugs out of the way first. That's the part that I also love, is you can't get a socket on the spark plugs now to get the spark plugs out. And everybody wonders why I hate headers. She's definitely running plenty fat. Doesn't help when the needle and seat sticks. Now, what's that engine mount? Alright. Got the Mopar motor lifter bar here. Header swap tool. Only there was a YouTube video I could go watch on how I did this the last time. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Yeah, you can see where they were rubbing. Right about there. Alright. Down. I don't know what that little stud does there. And I don't see any holes, nothing drilled, nothing tapped. So I think I'm gonna mow that off. Let's call the Mopar Madman first. The Mopar man says go for it. He says if water or oil shoots out, he says it'll make great entertainment. So let's just mow this tab off the side of this big block. We're lightening it up. Lightweight, we're going fast. Headers, Holly, single plane, cutting weight. This thing's gonna be real fast. God, we don't even have to lift up the freaking engine to cut that out of there. What a joke. I ever told you how much I love headers? There you go. Tab deleted. Hopefully we got some of that metal shavings into the carburetor and into the cylinders through the spark plug holes, and so then I can make a thumbnail that says, "Headers ruined my engine." Alright. We're gonna put a new gasket in there while we're in there. This one is definitely blowed out. It doesn't matter how good of a gasket you put on there. If it's not mating tight, it's gonna leak. I don't see a reason to get the super scraper out, clean that up, but they are available at mortske.com. We got them on hand right now. All right. Ooh, hopefully it didn't melt my valve cover gaskets. We got some aluminum reusable Mr. Gasket part number 7430G exhaust gaskets. Chrysler 383 through 440, except 426 ME, 59 to 78. These things are pretty honking thick, oh my word. Is there an outside or an inside? Is there instructions? Does it matter? Who knows? Oh, instructions in English. Remove old gasket, you don't say. Check for warped or bent flanges or welding imperfections. Okay, use a straight edge. Yeah, we know they're not straight. Install 2-header exhaust bolt at each end front. Install toward header flange or exhaust manifold. Install rough edge towards cylinder head. Did I guess right? Yep. Aluminum. These things are made out of aluminum foil. What's it, Reynolds? Is it Reynolds wrap? Tin foil? That's what these things are made out of. All right, these things were barely rubbing before. Where's the chunk we cut off? Whoa! That's why I hate headers. They are conductive and they arc out between your dipstick tube, Jimmy. We didn't weld that in. And your starter wires. Don't weld with your headers, weld on your headers. There's the tab we took off. So what's that? I don't know. 3/8 of an inch thick. We'll measure it up against a nut. Oh yeah, all of probably 7/16 or a 1/2 inch. We're gaining all of the horsepowers with the headers and all the weight reductions thanks to the headers. Ooh, P71 Crown Vic. Sounds like he's got headers. Just falls into place. Oh yeah, all kinds of daylight down there now. All right, now I'm gonna put it all back together. And it's not gonna leak. Good news and bad news. Good news is we got plenty of clearance where we were hitting before. Bad news is you can angle the way that clamp goes on the header, and Boom Tube angled it right into the block, so it's touching right above that freeze plug. Hopefully it's not too bad, otherwise we're gonna have to have him cut this weld out and rotate it, or do something there. Yeah. Oh well. Frickin' headers. That's why you gotta look for this stuff before you take it to the exhaust guy. Not really Boom Tube's fault. All right, let's set her down and hopefully we got no leaks. We better have no leaks or this thing is gonna get driven right into that slough and buried. One more thing before I set it down, just for all you lowered truck people, love them or hate them. This is where Dodges hit, these torque arms or whatever they call brackets. They schmack a few things. Control arms hang pretty low. You got to put offset bushings in the upper control arm. That's what we got to do some other time to get all of your camber where it needs to be. And the frickin' fuel tank hangs below the frame rail, so that thing catches a few things. And maybe the inside, yeah, the insides of the control arms. These control arms are sitting like this. This is one of the lowest points. They're not as conducive to lowering as a Chevrolet or GMC, that's for sure. But you guys are already well aware of that. All right, let's fire this hot rod up. Check for exhaust leaks. Better not hear any. Better not see any, better not smell any. Ah, yeah, way better. I have always liked the exhaust on this thing. These 383s sound good. But now, I hear a little bit of a lifter noise. I guess that is one positive side to exhaust leaks. It covers up the noises of other things. I do like this single exhaust. Sounds good. Boom Tube nailed it with the tailpipe this time. I like it when they are hidden like that. High and tight and then dump down. That's the way all tailpipes should be. On lowered pickups in this vintage anyway. All right, let's pick up our tools, clean up our paws, go for a little rip ski, enjoy the sun, huh? Well, Duff, should we go for a rip? Thanks, Dee, to go for a ride. This thing does rev up nice. Sounds like we got a little bit of a belt squeal. Full tank of gas. I don't think the temp gauge works. It's got a tack and a radio, believe it or not. Yeah, that's right uptown for us. This thing's pretty good. I do really enjoy driving it. It's a pretty nice driving pickup, but it could be yours. Price and availability in the video description, or check out the list. It's relatively updated at mortske.com. Vehicles for sale. Or if you want to email us, mortskerepair@gmail.com. But check the price in the video description first. Hey, it doesn't ping when you hit it, so our vacuum advance is doing its thing. Hopefully. Oh yeah, she runs out nice. I wonder how the wind noise is. I gotta bend this door top in. Gotta put my knee into it and give her a little tweaky tweak. It is warm in here. We might have to have the window down. We'll see how it goes. That exhaust sounds pretty good, don't you think? Rides like a Cadillac. The steering wheel is like close to you and really low with this pickup, or these pickups. I don't know. Tilt with us cruise down the road freaking nice at highway speed. It's for just kind of a Mortske tape measure alignment. It's pretty good. There's a pretty good breeze today, so that doesn't help. Could maybe use some tinted windows because it gets a little warm in here, but usually we're not recording, so we just got the windows down, rocking with fresh air. So yeah, I think go for a little ride, but I think that's gonna wrap it up. Got the rear end back together, fixed the sticky float in the carburetor, hopefully fix that obnoxious exhaust leak. Got our alignment a little bit closer, but like I said, I want to put upper control arm bushings in it. Probably while I'm in there, since I gotta have the control arms out, might as well do upper ball joints. And yeah, hopefully it doesn't snowball into tie rod ends and all that stuff, because that's why I like just piecing things together. Because you do a full-blown front end rebuild, next thing you know, it's months later and you're not driving it. And now it's like the driving season up here. It's finally getting nice up. So I think that's what I'm going to do today, is take this thing for a nice little cruise. But so yeah, that's probably going to wrap it up. Like I said, if you want to own this thing, hit us up mortskerepair@gmail.com. Thank you very much for watching. Check out our merch, mortske.com. We got all kinds of sweet screwdrivers on hand, a couple different designs, magnetic can koozies, ball caps, t-shirts, banners, super scrapers, you name it, we got it. If we don't got it, you don't need it. Fender covers, if you got something super nice, paint, unlike this thing. A little detour on our ride. I heard about this private yard for a while in a small town about an hour away, so here we are. He said go take a look. I don't care if you have a camera. Yeah, getting a little, I ran into rain, ran into some mud, some gravel. We're having a good time. I turned the idle down. She's working flawlessly. All kinds of Fords, step sides, fleet sides, dent sides, bump sides, OBS's. I don't know what they call those, but they look like a Ford Taurus. Ooh, 5-window Chevy, 78.9 Ford. This is the one I was looking at. 67, no marker lights, a good looking hood, and look at that. Oh, it does have the small back window, but it's got the trim, most of it, well, parts of it, okay, about half of it. It's missing the cab corner piece and that back piece, so most of it's there. Ooh, it's got a big mow in the back. Missing a spindle on this side. I think that dent ain't gonna pop out, but we could try. A little hooey in the hood. I like that blue. Missing one piece of trim over here. Oh, that corner got her pretty hard though, huh, Duff? International pickup with a sprayer. She's a 4-speed rig. Oh, that sucks. That's a pretty good one. Otherwise, ain't too bad. Another 5-window Chevy, Cadillac, tin grill, extended cab, long box, F-body. Yeah, I won't show you guys too much. We might be coming back here, checking her out. All right, I'm gonna walk around and then we're gonna jump back in the pickup and probably wrap this video. 57 fridge with a Y block. I guess somebody decided to go take a dip in the swamp before we could go home. It's the joys of having seat covers, I guess. Oh, look at this sweet little F1 with a service unit on the back. H&R Firestone dealer. Mohall, North Dakota. That's way up north. Oh, that is cool. Firestone dealer. All right, we made it back from our little escapade we went on. We put just about 200 miles on this thing. We went over to Lemoore County, North Dakota, and went on the Chansan Scenic Backway. It's one of 10 backways in North Dakota. It's not a byway, it's a backway. It goes through little towns like Dickey, North Dakota. They're almost ghost towns, unfortunately. Adrian is on there. I don't remember all the names of the towns. Lemoore is on there. But anyway, it's some neat old history, some cool pictures that we're able to take. Took them by an old bank, found all kinds of cool old stuff, an old gas station, the town of Berlin. yeah, saw a lot of cool stuff. Drove a lot of gravel, 2-lane county roads. So we banged this thing up and down the road, drove through some rain, found out the wipers don't work. We got her nice and muddy. We scraped a few times on some gravel roads. Got some bugs on, all ruined here. The fuel gauge goes to E after like 8-10 gallons, and it should be like a 15-20 gallon tank, so we got to look into that. The inside door handle is not hooked up anymore. That crapped out on us on the way. Like I said, we got to fix the wipers. Like when it started raining, I tried to turn them on and they tried to move, and that was it. But other than that, it's pretty good. Not a bad little pickup. So yeah, we got a couple things to fix, but I think we're just gonna keep driving it, or if somebody wants to buy it, hit us up. Price and availability in the video description, mortskerepair@gmail.com. But we got other things we need to do and work on and stuff, so on to the next one. Remember, it doesn't matter, you get it done as long as you're having fun. Driving around in your old Dodges, lots of fun.